Okay, looks like we're live. I'll call this work session to order. First item on our agenda tonight will be the approval of the minutes from our July 21st meeting. Do I have a motion?
Wait, we would do that in the main meeting, right?
Do that?
Oh, yeah, I guess I don't need to do that yet. Are there any issues
No.
about are there any issues about the with the minutes, Mr. McKnight?
I just have the one correction that I think it's probably a Scribner's note, but it might just make it in the meeting just to go fix it. So
It's a Scribner's error, I think we can call that. All right, anything else on the minutes? All right. Under new business, first item tonight will be the accessory structure, the sport court by the Dinos. Any questions of staff on that?
We didn't hear anything from the neighbors.
No, the neighbors have, this had to go through a variance first.
Oh, yes.
Due to the significant setback. The house itself had to get a setback when it was built, setback
Yeah.
variance. So they're, the neighbors have signed off on it. The Dinos actually own the property behind their house as well.
Oh, okay.
Probably the one that is most
Yeah,
impacted.
yeah.
I mean, it's a significant game court in terms of its size, but they submitted a very nice landscape plan. It's completely surrounded by evergreen trees. The pad for where the sport court is going was laid out as part of the house construction, but they did need to get a variance, which was approved July 27th. And at the meeting tonight, Mr. Dino should be present. I believe he's at the ball game, so he's going to try and find a corner to be in. And the sport court builder and the surveyor, I think, will be on the call tonight.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. So who will be our presenter then? Not Mr. Dino, I assume, if he's at the game.
I think he intends to be, but he'll have help if need be.
Mr. Bolzina, questions?
Yes, is that a detention basin in the corner of the property? It says MSD easement.
There is a significant basin on the property. And that's what's being shown to the, I guess, to the right, if you will.
I'm just curious about this kind of complicated collection system, I guess, for the sport court runoff. And I'm just curious why it's just not piped to the detention basin.
I don't have an answer for that specific question. There is a significant system they had to put in for MSD requirements because of the size of the lot. I can talk to the engineer, Mr. Zeltman, if need be, but I don't have an answer to why it's designed that way. Maybe the Paul Mertz with Pullman Pros could answer that question.
So you're saying that detention basin that's shown was something that had to be done in the development of the house?
For the property, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and now is this sophisticated new system, is that something that MSD is requiring or something that's being suggested by the engineer?
That is, has gone through MSD's review. So that may be a requirement that MSD is making. I would suggest speaking with the surveyor that will be on the call this evening.
Okay, all right.
Other questions of staff?
One question I had for staff is, did this, I know that there, because I was able to go onto the property. She was, his wife was there and allowed me to walk around, which was really nice of her. But it gave me, my initial impression was that this is a huge sport court and that it's a big problem.
Big.
The truth of the matter is when you go on the property, the house is very large.
Also big.
And it's not the court's not overwhelming to the house. I'll put it that way. The only concern that I really had was they've kind of butted it up to the neighbor's property on the
Right.
side. And if someone's gonna be playing basketball out there, that could be, I mean, the neighbor today may think it's fine, but the concern I'd have is if somebody's out there playing basketball, especially at 10 o'clock at night, because they do have lights all around. They don't have lights on the court,
Right.
but all of the posts on the huge fence they have lighting on them. So there's enough ambient light that somebody could probably play basketball out there at night. And that's something I think we probably need to address as far as restrictions on when this can be used and what can be used on it. I'm just thinking about the future neighbors and what they'd run into in this case.
And I would direct, my understanding is the neighbors are on board. What I've seen supplied is that they support this, but I would direct that to Mr. Dino and his
Yep.
specific conversations. But, I think it's reasonable to have a certain time period restriction on something that is that close to a property line. Yeah.
Can at least make it actionable if there is a problem. So
Any other
Okay.
questions, staff, on item 1? Okay, item 2 is the pool house on Harflow. Any questions of staff on that item?
Harflow.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah, the
you
pool.
know, it's a pretty funky street.
It
Um,
is.
it's a funky street for sure.
A little bit. Yeah.
And I guess we can't stop, development of more big houses along that street because there's a new one being constructed now.
Yeah.
But certainly it's a one-way road. And
Yes.
I don't know what we can say about that. It's a
One
lane.
lane,
it's-
one line, one lane.
I had
And
to use the other street today because the street was blocked to
Right.
deliver a packet. Yes.
so maybe it's not particular to this proposal, but do we have anything to say about future development of bigger houses along this one-lane road?
It's zoned
Well, see,
suburban estate, so the
it-
same zoning regulations apply to this street as they do any other suburban estate zone property. The lots are narrower, so the house designs have to be very thoughtful, and sometimes variances have been sought on this street because of the unusual, the very narrow nature of the lots. But there's nothing specifically in the code that dictates the size of construction or anything of that nature specific to this street.
Okay,
You'd need a new zoning category or an overlay or something of that nature.
yeah.
Because the street is transitioning. We're seeing more and more development on it.
The one thing I didn't see on this was an actual drawing of the entire lot with this placement on the lot. Because as I walked the lot when I was on there, it was described to me that this building, pool house, would be a good distance from the back of the lot.
Did I not? That might have been a failure on my part then. There is a site plan for this property that shows.
I see a partial site plan,
Right.
but I don't see I don't see the back of the property. I guess that's the part I didn't quite get.
Laura,
when I
can
first
you?
got there and looked.
I don't have access to the public drive when I'm on Zoom. Is that something you can pull up from the folder?
Hmm.
You're on mute, sorry.
Still on mute.
I think it should be on page 34.
Yeah, it's 34.
Oh, the PDF. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, it's in the PDF. Okay.
So yeah, somehow it made it into the electronic, but not into the physical packet. I apologize.
But I can pull it up to view if you'd like.
If I may, while
ahead,
we're
Mr.
looking for that, it looks like everything slopes from right to left. And I don't see anything to address the drainage before it gets to the west neighbor. Is that something that would show on the bigger site plan?
There is drainage shown, so let me pull that up.
Laura, do you want me to share it? I've got it ready. Do you want me to bring it up?
Um, I couldn't read for a second.
Ah, there it
Can you
is.
see?
There it is, yeah.
They're directing all the stormwater to the
There's a
pump system
Back of the-
east of the pool that they're going to build.
Yeah, I see. it now.
Right.
Yep.
So the paved areas and the shelter would drain to the east? Is that what we're saying?
They would be directed to that system. Yes, sir.
Laura, can you zoom in a little on that, kind of on the pool house and the
I see it
retain-
drop into a pop-up emitter. At the north or the top of that. It might come around. Hold on.
So they're showing the two downspouts on the west side going
Oh,
directly
enjoying there. Yeah.
4-inch PVC that ties into the flow wells. Oh,
I see it.
out of memory.
How about that?
Hmm.
Other questions on this item?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dr. Mo.
Do we know the green space percentage here?
off the top of my head, I don't. It should be on the site plan.
Packet too, right?
Ryan, it's 81.8% according to the site plan.
Okay. Yeah, it's
This was
a
a-
narrow lot, but it's a deep.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was another one of those that, I mean, the back of the lot, I mean, he's got a big playground back there and other things. And so that's not going to get involved at all. And it's just a long way from the neighbor's property, it looked like to me. So
right. Anything else on item 2? Questions, staff?
Has been reviewed by ARB.
Item number 3 will be the pavilion on Kings Glen Drive. Any questions of staff on that one?
question. So Ryan, this had a stop work order on it?
Yes, construction started. They didn't realize what kind of permissions they needed. So we put a stop work order on it. And we had to work through the process because they didn't have plans, and they had to get Jeff Day on board and design the plans and so forth. So that's where we're at tonight. They're scheduled for an ARB review as well this coming Monday for the architecture. But yeah, they understand and are, you know, apologize for the mistake, but their contractor didn't realize the conditional use aspect of it. So they're here tonight.
This one to me, when I looked at it, I mean, it's so close to the house. It's almost an extension of the house. It
Right,
feels
yeah,
like-
it's
Yes.
not quite attached.
Right.
They've got all their neighbors' signatures and talked to them, and they've done everything they've needed to reach out. Yeah, it's going to be quite nice when it's finished. But yeah, you're
It
right.
is, yeah.
It's not like it's in the back of the yard or something. It's
Right.
on their existing patio basically that they had. They have.
And we're seeing it because it's bigger than 200 square feet and it's a foot taller than allowed.
Correct. correct.
Yeah, I don't see the height being a problem for me, and the square footage, again, it's already a
It's covering their patio.
patio in the back, yeah.
So, I don't know if anybody else is concerned, but under our visual coherence standard, this building will have a metal roof. Obviously, the house does not have a metal roof. This is a pretty significant visual element for this building to have a metal roof. Something different than the main house.
Has this been through ARB?
This is coming on Monday, October 4th.
Seems like more their bailiwick than ours.
ARB will look at it for that aspect, as will the Board of Aldermen as part of the CUP. So,
Any other questions to staff on 3?
I have a question. So, Ryan, so this is not do they anticipate putting a pool in, or is it just a porch, or just covered?
it's just a covered pavilion for their patio area. It's not a
Okay.
pool house per se.
Okay.
It's just an open.
Right, okay.
It's some thick timber too. I couldn't lift it. It's
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's kind of it's attractive lumber
Yeah.
for sure, so it'll look good.
Is that part of your review process, Ryan? You see if you can
I-
lift the lumber on it?
right. Right. I get hands-on with the
Had to take it apart. It was one of those things.
It's like one of those big lumberjack statues, you know?
All right, so items 4, 5, and 6 are related to the gas station at Ballas and
Mhm.
Clayton.
I hope everyone saw my additional memo. So if staff and the applicant are requesting continuance of those 3 items, we're still working through some technicalities with site plan, lighting, landscaping, the right-of-way vacation. I didn't want them to withdraw it because the public hearing had already been noticed up, and I didn't want to confuse the public by having to send out new letters and rescinding the public hearing and so forth. So I'd like to open the public hearing. We can enter any comments we've received so far, and then we can continue it to the October 20th planning and zoning meeting, where at that meeting I'm extremely hopeful that all the issues that we're working on right now can be resolved. They really just want to put their best foot forward and put the best plan forward for you guys to review and make a recommendation on.
So we will, I guess we'll need to continue each of the 3 separately, correct? So we'll vote on each, and or can we continue them all as one item?
You could do it as one item.
Okay. So
Oh,
the
I'm
motion will be to
sorry.
continue items 4, 5, and 6 to the next meeting, all in one vote?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
With the public hearing still open.
With the hearing open. Okay, so we'll open the hearing, we'll leave it open and continue it. Great. Mr. White.
Do we have a traffic survey, Brian?
They've not provided one, no.
So, it'd be interesting to see if they're expecting a greater usage.
What I've asked of them is, I said, the city is not staff wasn't gonna require a traffic study. I said the P&Z or the board may, at a minimum, it would be nice to have any studies that you have of existing facilities showing demand and usage and so forth that could provide some clarity as to expectations. Staff does not have that at this time.
Mr. McKnight?
Just for expediency, so the thinking would be that we'd open the public hearing. We would have a presentation or no presentation? No presentation, but a time for our residents to be able to provide feedback during the public hearing, and then to continue this to the next meeting and have additional conversations before we get to that meeting. We can voice concerns and issues that come up.
Correct. The public hearing will remain open, so the public can officially provide comment again on October 20th, and hopefully we'll have some revised documents as well at that time. I would hope tonight too, if you have feedback or questions, you can pose them to staff and the applicant, and then we'll have 3 weeks to work on those questions or concerns for the October 20th meeting.
But the idea of there'll be no decision tonight, it'll just be a, first
Staff
review of
requests
this.
continuance.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Bolzino?
Yes, I talked to Ryan a little bit on the text wording on where we're going on this. And we're developing a definition of a convenience store to accommodate this particular thing. I quibble with the 5,000 square feet. Maybe it could be 4,000. This application is 3,800. So my survey of 7-Eleven type places are about 4,000 square feet. So Ryan gathered this from some other ordinances in some other cities, which we can kind of look at that, whether we want to have that large of a convenience store. My other question is, can a convenience store under this text change exist with, it can't exist without a gas station, correct? I mean, it has to be connected to a gas station.
It's only listed. It's only listed as a conditional use in the campus office district, which applies to this specific lot. We actually define convenience store in the code, but we don't allow it anywhere. The code actually specifies 5,000. I don't know where that came from. I assume it had to do with when we were differentiating from grocery stores at some point in the past. But the definition does say includes gasoline sales. Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's enough.
Associated with the sale of gasoline. So you
Right.
can either tied together. Yes.
So we don't have an allowable use for gasoline service stations, is what you're saying, or only in this? They're not allowed in this special area.
Gasoline service stations are called out in campus office under service revitalization regulations because it recognized the existing service station at Ballas and Clayton. But this obviously is not going to be a service station, so staff believes that you have to add the convenience store as a conditional use, and then update the definition to include gasoline products to capture that.
Which allows them to have gas pumps, but
Correct.
they're not going to service automobiles anymore. They're going to serve gas and serve food. So,
Right. I took that out per your request. I think when we had that email exchange.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. We can maybe talk about this a little bit, but I think it's the right approach. I mean, I think we're in the right direction there. I do quibble with their site plan a little bit. I don't think it really works at where the pumps and the canopy is. I don't think there's a proper turning radius, and I don't see how cars are really going to make it at that area where the pumps are shown on the drawing.
Staff expressed that concern there's feedback. Staff expressed that concern as well. And I think some of it has to do with the drawing and the way the drawing is on the site plan. And I've also asked, but it hasn't been provided as yet, that they show some vehicle turning radiuses on the plan to give a better idea of how that would function. Because yeah, the engineer and I were concerned about the northeast corner specifically. I think that's where it's tightest, the radius.
Right. It just doesn't work. And I mean, I could have some suggestion on how to perhaps make it work. But if a car pulls in from the west to the pump, it's going to be sticking out because most gas filler caps are in the back or toward the rear of the car. So the car is going to be sticking out. And how's the next car going to get around and maneuver in that limited 25 feet? It just doesn't work.
I think it's reasonable to ask them to show how, if they believe it can work, they need to show how.
Right. Well, the turning radius is 35 feet. So I don't think they can show a turning radius that works there, but.
So we'll cover that tonight. We are down to just 4 minutes. I want to, any other final questions to staff before we adjourn, and we'll pick back up at 7 on the other Zoom. Anything else on these items? Go ahead, Mr. White.
Not these items, but are we addressing dumpsters and the?
No, sir.
Gateway?
Out of respect for Alderman Whitmire, who wanted to bring those items up, he is unavailable for this meeting, so staff pulled those items for when he can be available at next month's meeting.
I assume we will not have a report from the Board of Aldermen tonight then, since he's not with us.
Correct.
Anything else for staff? Okay, we'll adjourn and we'll see you back here in